Warlord Grakthar stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching Federation colonies burn on the main screen. The massive Thornax commander's 4 arms gestured at the destruction with savage pleasure. His species had waited 200 years for this moment. The humans are gone, he growled to his war council. The weaklings who kept us leashed with their pretty words and peace treaties have abandoned the galaxy. Now we take what should have always been ours. The Thornax Empire had grown powerful during the years of human-enforced peace. Their warrior culture had adapted to build ships and weapons instead of just fighting with claws and teeth. But they had never forgotten their desire to conquer and dominate other species. Commander Zekrath, Grakthar's chief tactical officer, reported the latest victories. The Centauri colonies have fallen, Warlord. The industrial worlds of Sector 7 are under our control. The Federation fleet retreats before us like frightened prey. On the screen, Federation ships fled from the advancing Thornax armada. Without human tactical expertise, the Federation military was no match for the Warrior Empire's brutal assault tactics. Ship after ship exploded under Thornax weapons fire. Good, Grakthar said. How long until we reach the Federation core worlds? 6 months, Warlord. Maybe less if they continue to run instead of fight. Grakthar laughed, a sound like grinding metal. For 2 centuries, humans had contained Thornax aggression through careful diplomacy. They had offered trade deals, cultural exchanges, and mutual defense pacts. They had convinced the warrior species that cooperation was more profitable than conquest. But the humans were gone now, and their carefully built peace was crumbling. The Thornax Empire was free to do what it did best, destroy everything in its path. On the peaceful world of Serenity Prime, High Priestess Nalathi watched refugee ships descending from orbit. Thousands of beings from dozens of species had fled the advancing Thornax forces. Her world had become a sanctuary for those with nowhere else to go. How many today? She asked her assistant Talvin as they walked through the refugee camps. 3,000 from the Vega colonies, he replied sadly. The Thornax attacked without warning. Most of the population escaped, but their homes are gone forever. Nalathi stopped to comfort a crying Centaurian child, whose parents had been separated during the evacuation. The child's skin was pale blue and covered with soft fur, but her tears looked the same as any human child's. Where are my mama and papa? The child asked in broken Federation standard. We will find them, Nalathi promised, though she knew many families would never be reunited. War scattered people like leaves in a storm. As they continued through the camps, Nalathi saw the faces of the galaxy's displaced. Traders who had lost their ships, scientists who had abandoned their research, farmers whose worlds had been burned by Thornax raiders. Have you tried contacting the humans again? Talvin asked quietly. Nalathi nodded. Every day, I send messages to Sol System begging them to return. I reach out with my mind across the void, calling for them to save us. But there is only silence. She did not understand why the humans had abandoned them. Before the withdrawal, human diplomats had seemed genuinely committed to galactic peace. Human military officers had died protecting alien colonies. Human scientists had shared their knowledge freely. Perhaps something happened to them, Talvin suggested. Perhaps they faced their own crisis. But Nalathi did not believe that. The energy barrier around Sol System proved the humans were alive and had advanced technology. They could help if they chose to. They were choosing not to. Captain Yexrin stood in the wreckage of another destroyed criminal ship, this one a smuggler vessel that had been carrying illegal weapons to the Thornax Empire. Like all the others, it had been completely destroyed by unknown attackers using weapons beyond Federation understanding. Same energy signatures, reported his tactical officer. Same damage patterns. Whatever hit this ship used technology we cannot identify. Yexrin had been investigating these mysterious attacks for 6 months now. The pattern was always the same. Criminal organizations would vanish without warning. Their ships found as twisted wreckage with no survivors. But this time was different. This time, his sensors had detected the attacking ships before they disappeared. Show me the scanner data again, he ordered. The holographic display showed 3 sleek black vessels, unlike any design in Federation databases. They had appeared from nowhere, destroyed the smuggler ship in seconds, then vanished again into the void. Computer, analyze ship configurations and predict origin technology. The computer worked for several minutes before responding. Unable to match design parameters to any known species. Hull composition unknown. Weapon signatures unknown. Propulsion method unknown. Yexrin studied the data carefully. The attacking ships were clearly artificial, but they used technology that seemed decades ahead of anything in the galaxy. Where had they come from? Who was building such advanced vessels, and why were they only attacking criminals? A new thought occurred to him. Computer, cross-reference timing of attacks with human departure from galaxy. The analysis took only moments. First recorded attack occurred 47 days after human withdrawal. Attacks have continued at regular intervals since that time. Yexrin felt a chill run down his spine. The timing was too precise to be coincidence. Either the humans were responsible for these attacks or someone else had begun hunting criminals immediately after humanity vanished. "Sir," his communications officer called out, "long-range sensors are detecting a large fleet approaching from the outer rim. Configuration unknown." On his main screen, Yexrin watched dozens of contacts moving steadily toward civilized space. The ships were traveling in perfect formation, their speed and coordination suggesting military discipline. "Are they responding to our signals?" he asked. "No, sir. They maintain complete communication silence." Yexrin ordered his ship to fall back to a safe distance while continuing to monitor the approaching fleet. Something was coming to the core worlds, something that moved with predatory purpose. Admiral Cretan received Yexrin's report in his command center on the Federation capital world. Around him, tactical displays showed the deteriorating military situation. Thornax forces advanced on 3 fronts while Federation ships retreated in disorder. "How many ships in this unknown fleet?" he asked. "At least 50, sir." Yexrin reported over the communication link. "Possibly more. Their technology allows them to mask their exact numbers." Cretan studied the tactical situation. The Federation military was already losing the war against the Thornax Empire. If another hostile force was approaching, the galaxy's civilized species faced extinction. "Continue monitoring," he ordered. "Report any changes immediately." His aide, Colonel Temvar, approached with more bad news. "Sir, the Thornax fleet has broken through our defenses in Sector 9. They will reach the Centaurian homeworld within days." Cretan closed his eyes in frustration. The Centaurians were a peaceful species who had never developed serious military technology. Their homeworld held over 2 billion civilians who could not be evacuated in time. "Order all available ships to defend Centauri Prime," he said. "We cannot let them massacre innocent civilians." But even as he gave the order, Cretan knew it was hopeless. The Federation fleet was outnumbered and outgunned. Without human tactical expertise and advanced weapons, they could not stand against the Thornax war machine. On the bridge of his flagship, Warlord Grakthar received reports of Federation ship movements with amusement. "They gather their remaining forces to protect the Centaurian homeworld," Commander Zekrath reported. "Their entire fleet will be in one place." "Perfect," Grakthar said. "We will destroy them all at once, then take the planet at our leisure. The Centaurians will make excellent slaves." The Thornax Empire had always practiced slavery, taking prisoners from conquered worlds to work in their mines and factories. Human diplomats had negotiated the release of millions of slaves over the decades, but those agreements meant nothing now. "Signal the fleet," Grakthar ordered. "All ships advance on Centauri Prime. Today we end Federation resistance forever." As the Thornax Armada moved toward its final assault, sensors detected the approach of the mysterious fleet from the outer rim, but Grakthar paid no attention to the reports. His species had fought every challenge for thousands of years. No unknown enemy could match Thornax warrior fury. He was about to learn how wrong he was. High Priestess Nalathi felt the approaching darkness in her meditations. Her species could sense violent intent across vast distances, and something terrible was moving toward the core worlds. "The Thornax prepare for a final battle," she told her council of priests. "They will attack Centauri Prime with everything they have." "And the Federation fleet?" asked Talvin. "Will be destroyed," she said sadly. "Without human guidance, they cannot win. Billions will die unless something changes." She rose from her meditation mat and walked to the temple's central altar, where a communication device connected her to the galactic network. For months she had sent messages to Sol System, begging the humans to return. All had gone unanswered, but she would try one more time. "People of Earth," she said, her voice carrying across space to the silent barrier around Sol System. "Your galaxy burns while you hide. Your friends die while you watch." Admiral Song Jinhee stood on the bridge of the massive human flagship Final Warning as it approached the Federation capital world. Behind her, the largest human fleet ever assembled moved in perfect formation. These were not the peaceful exploration ships that aliens remembered. These were weapons of war, designed for a single terrible purpose. President Kang Do-hyun waited in the ship's conference room, reviewing the presentation that would change everything. With him sat Dr. Lim So-man, the scientist whose discovery had forced humanity to abandon diplomacy and embrace darkness. "Are you ready for this?" Do-hyun asked her. Dr. Lim nodded, though her hands shook slightly. "The evidence is clear. The galaxy will understand once they see what we found. They will hate us for what we have done," Do-hyun said quietly. "Even when they understand why, they will never forgive us for becoming monsters." "Better to be hated and alive than loved and extinct," Lim replied. "The extragalactic invasion force will arrive in less than 2 years. If we had continued with diplomacy and committees and endless debates, every species in the galaxy would be dead before they reached a decision." On the Federation capital world, emergency sessions of the Galactic Council were already in progress. Representatives from 23 species had gathered to discuss humanity's sudden return and the mysterious destruction of the Thornax Empire. Councillor Thexani stood before the assembled delegates, her scaled hands trembling with rage. "The humans have revealed themselves as the monsters we should have recognized long ago. They withdrew from the galaxy, then returned as conquerors, slaughtering the Thornax fleet without mercy." "The Thornax were invaders," pointed out Councillor Mordek. "They had enslaved dozens of worlds and were preparing to destroy us all." "That does not excuse genocide," Thexani snapped. "The humans could have disabled the Thornax ships, taken prisoners, negotiated surrender. Instead, they chose extermination. Admiral Cretan had witnessed the battle firsthand. The human technology was far beyond anything we have seen. Their ships appeared from nowhere and struck without warning. If they wanted to conquer us, we could not stop them. Then why did they save us?" asked High Priestess Nalathi, who had traveled from Serenity Prime to attend the emergency session. "If humans intended conquest, why destroy our enemies instead of us?" The question hung in the air without answer. The human ships orbited the capital world peacefully, making no hostile moves despite their overwhelming military advantage. Then President Kang, Do-hyun's image appeared on the main communication screen. The human leader looked older than when the aliens had last seen him, his face marked by stress and difficult decisions. Behind him stood other humans they recognized: Admiral Song Jin-hee, Dr. Lim So-man, and General Choi Min-ho. "Representatives of the Galactic Federation," Do-hyun began formally. "Humanity requests permission to address this council and present evidence of a threat that requires immediate action." "You have some nerve," Thexani hissed. "You abandon us without explanation, then return as killers, and now you want to lecture us?" Do-hyun's expression did not change. "We abandoned you to save you. We became killers to protect you, and yes, we will lecture you, because your survival depends on understanding what we have learned." "Grant them permission to speak," Nalathi urged the council. "Whatever drove them to such extreme actions, we must hear their explanation." After heated debate, the council voted to allow the human presentation. President Do-hyun, Dr. Lim So-man, and their escort were transported to the Federation capital under heavy security. Dr. Lim So-man stood before the assembled alien representatives, activating a holographic display that showed her research data. The quantum parasites that she and Dr. Park Hyuna had been studying floated in three-dimensional detail above the council chamber. "These organisms are not native to our galaxy," she began. "They are weapons created by an extragalactic invasion force that travels between galaxies, consuming all intelligent life." The aliens murmured among themselves as Lim continued her presentation. "The parasites arrive first, studying our technology and biology. They send information back to the main invasion fleet through quantum entanglement. Once they have sufficient data, the fleet follows." Councillor Mordek leaned forward. "How do you know this?" "Because we captured one of their scout vessels 18 months ago," Lim replied. The ship contained detailed information about their invasion strategy and timeline. A new holographic display showed images that made several aliens gasp in horror. Massive ships the size of moons moved through empty space between galaxies. Their hulls were covered with the same quantum parasites that Lim had been studying. "They have consumed 17 galaxies over the past 1,000,000 years," she continued. They strip each galaxy of all intelligent life, all technology, all resources. Then they move on to the next target. When will they arrive? Admiral Cretan asked quietly. 22 months, Lim answered. Their advanced scout ships are already entering our galaxy's outer rim. The council chamber fell silent. The magnitude of the threat was beyond anything they had imagined. President Do-hyun stepped forward. We withdrew from the galaxy to prepare for this invasion. Diplomacy and committees would have wasted precious time while you debated and argued. The galaxy needed to be unified and militarized immediately. So you decided to become dictators? Thexani accused. We decided to become what the galaxy needed, Do-hyun replied. The parasite's intelligence showed us that the invaders are drawn to divided, chaotic civilizations. They avoid unified galaxies with strong military forces. We had to eliminate every element that would weaken galactic unity. The pirates, the slavers, the criminal organizations. Admiral Cretan said, understanding dawning in his voice. You have been hunting them for months. 18 months, General Choi Min-ho confirmed. We eliminated over 3,000 criminal organizations across the galaxy. Pirates, slavers, warlords, corrupt politicians, anyone who would choose personal gain over species survival. Including the Thornax Empire, Nalathi observed. The Thornax were the greatest threat to unity. Do-hyun agreed. Their warrior culture glorified conquest and slavery. They would have fought the invaders individually instead of cooperating with other species. Their defeat sends a message that cannot be ignored. Councillor Thexani stood up angrily. You had no right to make these decisions for us. You appointed yourselves judges and executioners without asking anyone's permission. Permission? Admiral Song Jin-hee spoke for the first time, her voice cold with controlled fury. You want to talk about permission? We spent 200 years building galactic peace through diplomacy. We sacrificed human lives protecting alien colonies. We shared our technology freely and asked for nothing in return. She gestured at the holographic display showing the approaching invasion force. And when we discovered that all of it was meaningless, that an unstoppable enemy was coming to devour everything we had built, did we save ourselves and flee to another galaxy? Did we take our advanced technology and abandon you to face extinction alone? The human admiral stepped closer to the alien representatives. We could have been safe. We could have run away and let you all die. Instead, we chose to become the monsters necessary to save your lives. But at what cost? Nalathi asked sadly. You have saved our bodies, but what has happened to your souls? Dr. Lim Sumin answered quietly. We lost our souls the day we realized that the peace we built was an illusion. That cooperation and understanding mean nothing when faced with an enemy that views all life as food. She activated another display showing detailed battle plans. The invasion fleet consists of approximately 10,000 ships, each capable of destroying entire star systems. They will arrive in our galaxy simultaneously at multiple points, making coordinated resistance impossible unless we are completely unified. What do you propose? Admiral Cretan asked. President Do-hyun activated a new holographic display showing the current state of the galaxy. Every star system was marked with military strength assessments and strategic value ratings. Complete militarization of all civilized species, he said. Every world becomes a fortress. Every ship becomes a weapon. Every citizen becomes a soldier. We have 22 months to build the largest military force in galactic history. And if we refuse? Thexani demanded. Then you die, Do-hyun said simply. And we will find another galaxy to save. The blunt honesty of his words shocked the council into silence. These humans were not the diplomatic peacekeepers they remembered. They had become something harder and colder, shaped by knowledge of humanity's darkest enemy. Show them the rest, Admiral Song Jin-hee said quietly. Dr. Lim activated her final display. It showed human colonies throughout the galaxy, but not the empty worlds the aliens expected. Instead, they saw massive military installations, weapon manufacturing facilities, and training centers for alien refugees. We never left, Lim explained. We went into hiding and spent 18 months building the infrastructure needed to defend the galaxy. Every human colony has been converted into a military base. We have trained 3 million alien volunteers in advanced combat techniques. The refugees we sent to your worlds, Nalathi realized. You were recruiting them. We were saving them, General Choi corrected, and teaching them to save others. Commander Bae Suyeon stood on the bridge of the Silent Vengeance, watching the Thornax fleet advance toward Centauri Prime. Her ship hung invisible in the darkness, cloaked by technology that made it impossible to detect. Around her, dozens of other human vessels waited in perfect silence. "Target analysis complete," reported her tactical officer, Major Ojisu. Thornax fleet consists of 47 capital ships, 130 destroyers, and approximately 300 support vessels. Suyon studied the enemy formation on her tactical display. The Thornax ships moved in aggressive attack patterns, their hulls painted with war symbols and decorated with the bones of their enemies. They expected easy victory against the weakened Federation forces. They were about to learn the price of that assumption. "Sir," called Lieutenant Nam Ji-hoon from the communications station, "the Federation fleet is taking position around Centauri Prime. They have 22 ships total." Suyon felt a moment of sadness for the alien crews preparing to die in hopeless battle. 2 years ago, she had served alongside them as allies. Federation officers had saved her life more than once during joint operations against pirates and raiders. But that was before humanity learned the truth, before they discovered what was really coming for the galaxy, before they chose to become something darker and more terrible than their enemies, Major. "Oh," she said quietly. "Begin the hunt." Ojisu smiled without warmth. Her team had spent 18 months learning to kill efficiently and without mercy. They had hunted pirates, slavers, and warlords across the galaxy, perfecting their techniques on the worst criminals they could find. Today they would face their greatest challenge. All hunter squadrons. "This is command," Ojisu transmitted on encrypted channels. "Target the Thornax supply ships first. Cut off their logistics before they know we're here." The human fleet moved like ghosts through space. Their ships had been redesigned from the ground up, incorporating technology reverse-engineered from captured alien, weapons and powered by innovations that pushed the boundaries of known science. Lieutenant Nam Ji-hoon watched the tactical display as human ships closed on their targets. He was young, fresh from the academy, and still uncomfortable with their mission. "Major," he said quietly to Ojisu, "the Thornax supply ships, most of their crews are just technicians and cargo handlers. They're not warriors." Ojisu turned to look at him, her expression cold. "They chose to serve a war machine that enslaves entire species. They chose to support genocide. Their job description does not matter." "But we used to be peacekeepers," Ji-hoon protested. "We used to protect innocent people, not kill them." "Wake up, Lieutenant," Ojisu snapped. "There are no innocent people in this war. There are only survivors and casualties. The galaxy forced us to choose which one we wanted to be." On the main screen, the first Thornax supply ships exploded in brilliant flashes of light. Human weapons tore through their hulls like paper, venting atmosphere and crew into the void. The attacks were so sudden and devastating that the Thornax fleet did not even realize they were under assault. Commander Suyon watched the destruction with professional detachment. Each exploding ship represented hundreds of alien lives, but she felt no guilt. Humanity had tried diplomacy for 200 years. They had tried to build a peaceful galaxy through cooperation and mutual understanding. It had not worked. Peace was an illusion. The galaxy respected only strength and feared only death. The truth had been revealed 18 months ago when Dr. Lim So-min made her terrible discovery. The quantum parasites that Dr. Park Hyuna had been studying were not just dangerous laboratory specimens. They were weapons, scouts for an invasion force that traveled between galaxies, consuming everything in their path. The extragalactic invaders were coming, and they would arrive within 3 years. When they did, every species in the galaxy would face extinction unless they could unite and fight as one. But unity could not be achieved through diplomacy. Too many species preferred short-term profit to long-term survival. Too many leaders chose personal power over galactic security. The Thornax Empire was just one example of the selfishness that would doom them all, so humanity had made a choice. They withdrew from the galaxy and spent 18 months becoming what their enemies feared most: efficient killers who struck from the shadows without warning or mercy. "Sir," Major Ojisu reported, "Thornax supply line is severed. They have lost 60% of their logistics support." "Good," Suyon replied. "Begin Phase 2. Target their heavy cruisers." The human hunter fleet moved deeper into the Thornax formation, their cloaked ships invisible to alien sensors. They had learned these techniques by hunting pirates and slavers, perfecting their ability to kill without being detected. Warlord Grakthar stood on his bridge watching. Federation ships take defensive positions around Centauri Prime, when his tactical officer suddenly screamed in alarm. Warlord, our supply ships are exploding. Something is attacking us. Grakthar spun to look at his tactical display. Red icons marked the destruction of 30 supply vessels in less than 2 minutes. But his sensors showed no attacking ships, no weapons fire, no indication of enemy presence. What is attacking us? He roared. Unknown, sir. Sensors detect no hostile contacts. As Grakthar watched, more of his ships began exploding. His heavy cruisers, the backbone of his fleet, were dying one by one. Each ship simply erupted in flames and debris with no warning. All ships, evasive maneuvers, he ordered. Find the enemy and destroy them. But there was no enemy to find. The attacking ships remained invisible, striking like demons from the void itself. On Centauri Prime, Admiral Cretan watched the impossible battle through his ship's sensors. The Thornax fleet was being destroyed by an invisible enemy that appeared on no scanner. What is happening out there? He asked his tactical officer. Unknown, sir. The Thornax ships are exploding, but we cannot detect what is attacking them. It's like they're being destroyed by ghosts. Cretan studied the tactical display. Whatever was attacking the Thornax fleet was using technology far beyond Federation capabilities. The precision of the assault suggested careful planning and superior equipment. Could it be the mysterious fleet that was detected approaching from the rim, his aide suggested? Possibly, Cretan agreed. But who are they? And why are they helping us? He would not have to wait long for answers. Lieutenant Nam Jihoon watched the systematic destruction of the Thornax fleet with growing horror. The aliens were dying by the thousands, their ships torn apart by weapons they could not see or understand. This is not warfare, he said to Major Ojisu. This is slaughter. Yes, she agreed without emotion. That is the point. We are not here to fight fair battles. We are here to eliminate threats to galactic security. But some of those ships are trying to surrender, Jihoon protested, pointing to Thornax vessels that had lowered their weapons and were broadcasting surrender signals. Ojisu looked at him with cold eyes. The Thornax Empire has enslaved 47 species and destroyed countless worlds. They have shown no mercy to their victims. Why should we show mercy to them? Jihoon had no answer. He was beginning to understand that the humans he served alongside were no longer the species that had built galactic peace through diplomacy. They had become something darker and more terrible. Commander Suyan received a transmission from the human flagship hidden at the edge of the system. Admiral Song Jinhee's voice was calm and professional. Commander, you have 2 hours to complete the elimination of Thornax forces. After that, we reveal ourselves to the Federation fleet. Understood, Admiral. What about survivors? There will be no survivors. The galaxy must understand that resistance to human authority has consequences. Suyan acknowledged the order and turned to her crew. You heard the Admiral. Accelerate the attack. Leave nothing alive. The human fleet moved with deadly efficiency through the Thornax formation. Ship after ship exploded under weapons fire that seemed to come from empty space. The proud warrior empire that had terrorized the galaxy for months was being reduced to floating debris. Warlord Grakthar stood on his dying bridge, watching his fleet's destruction with disbelief. His flagship was one of the last ships still fighting, but it would not survive much longer. Who are they? He growled at his tactical officer. What species has this technology? I don't know, Warlord. Their weapons are beyond anything in our databases. A new explosion rocked the bridge as invisible attackers targeted the flagship's main reactor. Warning alarms screamed as the ship began to die around them. In his final moments, Grakthar saw something that chilled his warrior heart. One of the attacking ships decloaked directly in front of his bridge, revealing its sleek black hull and unfamiliar design, but it was not unfamiliar. Deep in his memory, he recognized the angular lines and efficient construction. These were human ships, but redesigned with technology that seemed decades ahead of anything they had possessed before humans. He whispered as his bridge exploded around him. The last Thornax ship died in silent fire, and suddenly the space around Centauri Prime was quiet. The Federation fleet hung motionless, their crews trying to understand what they had witnessed. Then the human fleet decloaked. Dozens of sleek black ships appeared from nowhere, surrounding the Federation vessels. They made no hostile moves, but their presence was overwhelming. 3 months had passed since the humans vanished, and Veltar was dying. The Altarian scientist sat alone in the research lab where he had once worked with Dr. Park Huna. The quantum parasites floated in their containment field, pulsing with deadly energy. Without Huna's help, he could not understand their behavior. Without her intuitive grasp of dangerous phenomena, he was making mistakes. The first containment breach had happened 2 weeks after she left. A small crack in the energy field. The parasites had consumed 3 laboratory tables before Veltar managed to repair the containment. He had been lucky. The second breach was worse. The parasites escaped for 6 hours before he could recapture them. They ate through 2 walls and consumed half the station's power grid. Veltar had barely survived. Now he faced the third breach, and this time he knew he would not be lucky. The parasites were learning. They were adapting to his containment methods. They wanted to be free, and without Huna's expertise, they would soon escape forever. "Computer, send emergency message to Federation Command," he said, his voice weak from radiation exposure. "Request immediate evacuation of research station. Quantum parasite containment failing." The computer beeped. Message sent. Estimated response time, 47 hours. Veltar looked at the containment field. It would fail in less than 12 hours. When it did, the parasites would consume the entire station, then move on to nearby ships and colonies. They would eat everything in their path until they grew large enough to consume planets. Dr. Park Hyuna would have found a solution. She always did. Her human mind could see patterns that escaped other species. But she was gone, and Veltar did not even know why. On the Federation Council homeworld, Counselor Thexani was losing her mind with frustration. The great chamber that had once echoed with voices from 23 species now felt empty. The human seats sat vacant, a constant reminder of the betrayal. "Trade routes are collapsing," reported Admiral Cretan, the military commander whose forces tried to maintain order. "Without human merchant ships, goods cannot move between systems. Without human negotiators, trade disputes turn into shooting wars." Thexani's scaled hands gripped her chair. "What about the probe ships we sent to Sol system?" No response. "The entire system is surrounded by some kind of energy barrier. Our best sensors cannot penetrate it. Our strongest weapons cannot damage it. Whatever the humans have done, they do not want to be found." Around the chamber, other alien representatives spoke of problems in their sectors. The peaceful Serenity worlds were being raided by pirates. The industrial colonies could not get raw materials. The research stations were failing without human technology and expertise. "Perhaps we should send a larger fleet," suggested Counselor Mordek, whose species had always been suspicious of human motives. "The humans may be planning something hostile. Their sudden departure seems like preparation for war." Admiral Cretan activated a holographic display showing the massive fleet he had assembled. Ships from dozens of species floated in formation around the Sol system barrier. "We tried that, Counselor. The largest fleet in Federation history could not even scratch their defenses. If the humans wanted war, they would have attacked us already." "Then what do they want?" Thexani demanded. "Why abandon us without explanation?" "This is not human behavior. Humans keep their promises. Humans protect the weak. Humans maintain peace." No one had an answer. The humans had simply vanished, leaving behind empty colonies, abandoned research stations, and confused alien allies who had trusted them completely. But strange reports were beginning to filter in from the galactic rim. Captain Yexrin, a Federation officer investigating these reports, stood on the bridge of his patrol ship examining the latest mystery. Before him floated the wreckage of 3 pirate vessels. The ships had been completely destroyed, but not by any weapon Yexrin recognized. The metal was twisted in impossible ways, as if the very atoms had been rearranged. "Scanner shows no life signs," reported his tactical officer. "Whatever attacked these ships killed everyone aboard in seconds." Yexrin studied the damage patterns. "This is the 5th pirate fleet we've found like this in 2 months. Always the same result. Complete destruction, no survivors, no witnesses." "Could be a new weapon," suggested his navigator. "Maybe one of the Rim species has developed advanced technology." But Yexrin was not convinced. The destroyed ships belonged to different pirate organizations that normally fought each other. Why would they be in the same area? And why were only criminal ships being attacked? Legitimate vessels passed through the same regions without harm. His communications officer suddenly looked up. "Sir, I'm receiving a distress signal. It's from a slave transport in the Vega sector." "Put it through," Yexrin ordered. The voice that came through the speakers was filled with terror. "This is Captain Groktar of the slave vessel Payne's Prophet. We are under attack! Unknown ships black as space itself. Our weapons have no effect. They're cutting through our hull like it's made of paper. Help us. Please help. The transmission cut to static. Yexrin ordered his ship to maximum speed toward the Vega sector, but he knew they would arrive too late. They always arrive too late. Whatever was hunting the galaxy's criminals moved faster than any Federation ship. When they reached the coordinates, they found the same scene as always. Twisted wreckage floating in space. No survivors. No witnesses. No clues about who had done this, but this time Yexrin noticed something different. His sensors detected faint energy signatures moving away from the battle site. The signatures matched no known ship design, but they were definitely artificial. Someone had been here. Someone had destroyed the slave transport with weapons beyond Federation understanding. Follow those energy traces, he ordered. But the signatures faded after a few light minutes, as if the attacking ships had simply vanished into empty space. Whatever technology they used was far beyond anything in the Federation database. On the peaceful world of Serenity Prime, High Priestess Nalathi knelt in her temple, trying to contact the humans through meditation and prayer. Her people believed all consciousness was connected across space and time. If anyone could reach the vanished humans, it would be her. Please hear me, she whispered to the stars. Your friends need you. The galaxy is falling apart without your guidance. Pirates attack our colonies. Trade wars threaten to become shooting wars. The research stations are failing. People are dying. Around her, the temple filled with the soft glow of her species' natural bioluminescence. Other priests joined their voices to hers, calling across the void for humanity to return. But the stars remained silent. The humans did not answer. Perhaps they cannot hear us, suggested her assistant, a young priest named Talvin. Perhaps their technology blocks our mental communications. Nalathi opened her eyes, which glowed like silver stars. Or perhaps they choose not to listen. But why? What did we do to drive them away? That question haunted every species in the Federation. The Draconis merchants wondered if they had cheated humans in some trade deal. The Centaurian colonies worried they had asked for too much help. The research stations feared they had taken human knowledge without giving enough in return. But the truth was simpler and more terrifying than any of them imagined. The humans had not left because they were angry. They had not withdrawn because they felt betrayed. They had vanished for reasons none of the alien species could understand. As weeks turned to months, the consequences of humanity's departure became clear. Without human peacekeepers, old conflicts reignited. The Thornax warrior clans, who had been kept peaceful through careful human diplomacy, began raiding their neighbors again. Without human merchants, trade routes collapsed. Colonies that depended on imported food faced starvation. Industrial worlds could not get raw materials. Research stations lost access to advanced technology. Without human mediators, every dispute became a crisis. Species that had lived in peace for decades began preparing for war. The golden age of galactic cooperation, built on human diplomacy and protected by human military power, was ending. And still, the mysterious attacks on criminal organizations continued. Pirates, slavers, smugglers, and warlords found their ships destroyed by unknown attackers. The galaxy's predators were disappearing one by one, hunted by shadows that struck without warning and left no witnesses. Admiral Cretan studied the reports in his command center. 73 separate incidents in 3 months, he told his staff. Always criminal organizations, always complete destruction, always the same energy signatures that we cannot identify. Could it be the humans? Asked his intelligence chief. Maybe they did not really leave. Maybe they are still here hiding and attacking criminal ships. Cretan considered this possibility. But why? And why only criminals? If humans wanted to maintain peace, why not contact us directly? The questions had no answers. The galaxy grew more dangerous each day. While somewhere in the darkness, unknown hunters stalked the void, eliminating threats that the Federation could not even find. As the 4th month began since humanity's departure, long-range sensors detected something new approaching from the outer rim. A massive fleet of unknown ships moving with predatory precision towards civilized space. The hunters were coming home, but the galaxy did not yet know if they were predator or prey. Captain Li Jiwan stared at the message on her screen. She read it 3 times, but the words did not change. Her hands shook as she reached for her coffee cup, but it was empty and cold. The bridge of the Harmony's edge was quiet. Her crew worked at their stations, checking star maps and monitoring alien communications. They had no idea what the message said. They had no idea their lives were about to change forever. All human personnel must return to Sol System immediately. The message read, "No exceptions, no delays. No explanations to alien contacts. You have 72 standard hours. This is not a drill. This is not optional." Jiwon closed the message and looked around her bridge. Lieutenant Kim Woo-jin sat at the navigation station, plotting their next diplomatic mission to the Centauri colonies. Engineer Park Min-seo was fixing a broken sensor array. Communications officer Lee Yuna was laughing at something her Altarian friend had sent her. These people trusted her. The aliens they worked with trusted her, but now she had to betray that trust. "Woo-jin," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. "Set course for Sol System. Maximum speed." Kim Woo-jin turned around, confused. "Captain?" "We're supposed to meet with the trade delegates tomorrow. The Draconis merchants are expecting us." "Change of plans," Jiwon said. "Family emergency. We need to get home right away." It was a lie. She hated lying to her crew. She hated lying to the aliens who counted on human ships to keep trade routes safe. But the message was clear. No explanations. 300 light-years away, Dr. Park Hyuna was having the worst day of her life. The same message had arrived on her personal communicator while she was working in the lab. She stared at the deadly quantum parasites floating in their containment field, then at her research partner, Veltar. The Altarian scientist had 6 arms and skin like blue marble. He was working on a complex equation that might help them understand how the parasites fed on energy. They had been working together for 5 years. They were close to a breakthrough. "Veltar," she said slowly, "I have to go." The alien's large eyes blinked twice. "Go where?" "We are in the middle of important work. Earth, family problem. I'm sorry, but I have to leave right now." "But the parasites?" Veltar gestured at their research. "We cannot leave them unattended. They are too dangerous." Park Hyuna knew that. The quantum parasites could eat through any known material if they escaped their special containment. They could consume an entire space station in hours. But she also knew she had no choice. "You'll have to handle it alone for now," she said, already packing her personal items. "I'll try to get back as soon as I can." She would never see Veltar again. She would never see the research station again. But she could not tell him that. In the great halls of the Federation Council, Ambassador Kim Tae-ho was giving what would be his final speech. The massive chamber held representatives from 23 different alien species. Some looked like giant insects. Others resembled walking plants. A few were just clouds of gas held together by force fields. Tae-ho had worked with these beings for 15 years. He knew their cultures, their languages, their hopes and fears. He had helped prevent 3 wars and negotiate dozens of trade agreements. Today he was telling them about the importance of cooperation between species. "Unity makes us strong," he said, his voice echoing through the chamber. "When we work together, we can solve any problem. When we trust each other, we can face any challenge." The alien representatives nodded and made sounds of agreement. They trusted humans. Humans were honest. Humans were fair. Humans kept their promises. Tae-ho finished his speech and sat down. In 6 hours, he would be on a ship heading for Sol System. These aliens would never see him again. They would think humans had abandoned them. He felt sick. General Choi Min-ho stood in the command center of the human defense station orbiting Proxima Centauri. Displays showed the positions of every human military ship in the galaxy. There were thousands of them protecting trade routes and keeping peace between alien species. His aide, Colonel Yoon Ji-hyun, approached with a worried expression. "Sir, we're getting reports from all sectors. Human ships are leaving their posts. Diplomatic vessels are breaking off missions. Research teams are abandoning their projects." "I know," Min-ho said quietly. The same orders had reached him an hour ago. "Begin Operation Homecoming. All ships return to Sol System immediately." "Sir, what about our alien allies? What about the peace accords we're supposed to protect?" Min-ho turned to look at the tactical display. It showed the positions of alien military ships, trade vessels, and civilian transports throughout human-protected space. In 72 hours, all of that protection would be gone. "Send automated messages to all alien contacts," he said. "Tell them we have technical problems with our ships. Tell them we'll be back soon to resume normal operations." Another lie, but necessary. The evacuation began across the galaxy. Human families on distant colonies packed their belongings and boarded transport ships. Human scientists left their experiments half-finished. Human teachers abandoned their alien students in the middle of lessons. Captain Song Minji commanded a passenger liner that normally carried tourists between star systems. Now she was cramming 500 colonists into a ship designed for 200. Families slept in cargo holds. Children cried because they had to leave their pets behind. "Why are we leaving?" a young girl asked her mother. "I like it here. My friends are here." Her mother had no answer. None of them had answers. They only had orders. Dr. Lim Junho worked at a medical station treating alien refugees from a recent conflict. His patients needed him. Some would die without human medical technology. But the orders were clear. All humans must return to Sol system. He looked at the Centaurian child in the medical bed. Her species had been poisoned by industrial waste from their own factories. Human medicine was the only thing keeping her alive. "I'm sorry," he whispered, knowing she could not understand him. "I'm so sorry." As the hours passed, the pattern became clear to alien observers. Every human in the galaxy was leaving. Ships that had patrolled the same routes for decades suddenly developed engine problems and headed toward Sol system. Diplomats who had lived on alien worlds for years suddenly got urgent family messages. On the Federation Council homeworld, Counselor Thex Ani watched human ships departing from orbit. "Something is wrong," she told her aide. "Humans do not act like this. They keep their promises. They do not abandon their duties." But they were abandoning their duties. All across the galaxy, human protection vanished. Trade routes became dangerous. Diplomatic missions failed. Research projects collapsed. With 6 hours left in the deadline, the last human ship cleared the outer rim of civilized space. Captain Li Jiwan sat in her command chair, watching the stars streak past as her ship jumped toward Sol system at maximum speed. She thought about the Draconis merchants who would wait for her ship tomorrow. They would wait for days, then weeks. They would think humans had betrayed them. They would never know the truth. An automated message broadcast across all communication channels in the galaxy. It was simple and cold. "Humanity hereby withdraws from the Galactic Federation. Do not follow us. Do not seek us. Do not contact us. Consider this your only warning." The message repeated in every known alien language. Then the human communication networks went silent. Every human ship, every human station, every human colony had vanished behind a wall of silence. For the first time in over 200 years, humanity was alone in the darkness between the stars. And for the first time in over 200 years, the galaxy was alone without them. The age of human protection was over. What would come next? None of them could imagine.